The signal. The Stellar Observatory at Mauna Kea had recorded countless signals from space over its decades of operation, but never anything like this. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her display, coffee forgotten and growing cold beside her keyboard as she reviewed the data for the 20th time. The signal pulsed with an unnaturally precise rhythm, its frequency shifting in patterns too regular to be natural phenomena. "Run it again," she ordered the AI assistant, her voice barely above a whisper. "Compare it against all known cosmic sources." Analysis complete, the AI responded after several seconds. Signal pattern matches no known natural or artificial sources in database. Unusual characteristics detected. Signal appears to be propagating through subspace channels previously theorized but never observed. Sarah's hands trembled as she reached for her phone. Within an hour, the observatory's main conference room was packed with researchers and government officials, all gathered around the central holoscreen displaying the signal's distinctive pattern. Admiral James Hayes, newly appointed head of Earth's Combined Space Command, stood at the front of the room, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the data streams. "Dr. Chen, you're telling me this signal isn't just alien in origin, but it's using technology we've only theorized about." "Yes, sir," Sarah replied, pointing to the complex waveforms. "The signal is traveling through what we believe to be artificial corridors in subspace. The energy required to create such corridors would be astronomical. Whatever sent this message, they're far beyond our current technological capabilities." "And it's getting stronger," added Dr. Marcus Wong, the quantum physics specialist. "The source appears to be moving toward our solar system." The room erupted in murmured conversations until Hayes raised his hand for silence. "What's the message saying? Have we decoded it?" Sarah shook her head. "Not entirely, but we've identified repeating patterns that suggest it's a distress signal." "There's something else." She hesitated, glancing at her colleagues before continuing. "The signal appears to be avoiding major populated sectors of space. It's taking a circuitous route, almost as if it's hiding from something," Hayes finished, his expression grim. 3 days later, Sarah found herself aboard the ESS Horizon, Earth's most advanced research vessel, as it cruised beyond Mars' orbit. The ship's enhanced sensors had been modified according to her specifications to better track the mysterious signal. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood beside her on the bridge, watching as the signal's source drew closer. "Contact in 30 minutes, the ship's AI announced. "Unknown object decelerating from FTL speeds." The tension on the bridge was palpable as the minutes ticked by. When the object finally dropped into normal space, it wasn't what anyone had expected. Instead of a ship, they found themselves facing what appeared to be a crystalline sphere about 3 meters in diameter, its surface etched with complex geometric patterns that shifted and pulsed with internal light. "It's some kind of probe," Sarah breathed, her instruments recording countless terabytes of data as the sphere approached. But the technology. It's organic technology, somehow merged with crystalline structures we've never seen before. The sphere came to a stop 5 kilometers from the horizon, and for several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, without warning, it projected a holographic message into the bridge. The image showed a humanoid figure, tall and elegant, with iridescent skin and multiple pairs of eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "People of Earth," the figure spoke, its voice translated in real time by the ship's computers. "I am Ambassador Zorax of the Meridian Collective. We have watched your species from afar, monitoring your development, hoping you might be different from the others. We come to you now because we have no choice. Our civilization faces extinction at the hands of the Darkswarm Empire, and every advanced race in the galaxy has refused to help us, fearing the Empire's retribution." The ambassador's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "But you humans, you are unique. You still possess something the older races have lost: the ability to defy impossible odds, to find solutions where none seem to exist. We have studied your history, your countless stories of overcoming devastation and rebuilding from ashes. We need that spirit now more than ever." Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. Why us? We barely have interplanetary travel. What could we possibly do against an empire that threatens you? The hologram smiled, an eerily human expression. Because, Captain, you humans have already done something remarkable, something that has never been done before. You detected our signal when no other young civilization should have been able to. The subspace corridors we used to transmit it were designed to be invisible to primitive scanning technology. Yet here you are, not only detecting it but tracking it to its source. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as the ambassador continued. More importantly, we've seen how you adapt, how you take existing technology and reimagine it in ways its creators never conceived. The Empire believes they have perfected their technology, that they know all its capabilities and limitations. But you humans, you don't accept limitations. The hologram flickered as the sphere projected additional images. Massive warships unlike anything in human science fiction, worlds reduced to ash, and strange dark clouds that consumed everything in their path. The Dark Swarm Empire is approaching your sector of space. They do not tolerate potential rivals, no matter how primitive. Whether you help us or not, they will eventually come for Earth. We offer an exchange. We will share our technology with you, and in return, we ask for your help in finding new ways to use it, ways that might save both our peoples. Admiral Hayes, watching via quantum link from Earth, spoke up. This is a lot to take in, Ambassador. What you're suggesting would change human civilization forever. We'd need time to discuss this. Time, the ambassador's voice carried a note of sadness, is the one thing we don't have. The Empire's scouts will reach this sector within 6 months. We need your answer within 3 days. The hologram paused, its multiple eyes focusing intently on the humans. We understand if you refuse. Many worlds have. But know this, in all our observations of your species, we've seen something remarkable. You don't just survive adversity. You transform it into opportunity. Where others see wreckage, you see resources. Where others see defeat, you see lessons to be learned. The sphere pulsed once, and new data began flooding the Horizon's computers. This package contains proof of everything we've told you, including detailed scans of Empire fleet movements. Study it, verify our claims, and make your decision. But remember, sometimes the greatest moments in history come not from choosing the safest path, but from daring to attempt the impossible. As the hologram faded, Sarah turned to Captain Rodriguez, her mind already racing with the implications of what they'd seen. Captain, permission to begin analyzing the data package. Rodriguez nodded slowly, her eyes still fixed on where the hologram had been. Granted. And Dr. Chen, something tells me humanity is about to remind the galaxy why they should never underestimate a species that turned nuclear weapons into power plants and space race rivalry into international cooperation. The sphere remained in position, its surface still shifting with patterns of light, waiting for humanity's answer. On Earth, emergency meetings were being called, and for the first time in history, all of humanity faced a decision that would determine not just their future, but perhaps the fate of multiple civilizations. The signal that had started it all continued to pulse through subspace, a testament to the Meridian's desperation and hope. But now it carried something else, the first hints of a change that would reshape the galaxy, as humanity prepared to prove once again that their greatest strength lay not in the technology they possessed, but in how they chose to use it. The choice. The United Earth Council chamber had never been this crowded. Representatives from every nation packed the circular hall, their faces illuminated by the holographic display of the Meridian sphere floating above the central podium. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the speaking platform, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The data package confirms everything, she reported, gesturing to the streams of analysis floating beside her. The Dark Swarm Empire is real, and they're methodically expanding through our sector of space. Their technology isn't just advanced, it's predatory. They don't just conquer worlds, they consume them. The hologram shifted to show recordings from fallen worlds. Massive ships, like floating cities made of dark metal and pulsing energy, deployed clouds of nanomachines that stripped planets of resources and reduced civilizations to dust. Sarah watched the council members' faces pale at the footage. Admiral Hayes stepped forward, his uniform crisp despite 3 days without sleep. "We've verified the Empire's flight patterns. They're systematic, thorough, and absolutely merciless. Even if we don't help the Meridians, we'll be facing this threat alone in less than a year. But what can we possibly do?" The Chinese representative's voice carried across the chamber. "Our most advanced ships barely reach Mars. They're asking us to fight an empire that devours worlds." Perhaps a new voice cut through the murmurs. "That's exactly why we're the right choice." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of Earth's Adaptive Technologies Division, walked to the center of the chamber. She pulled up images of human history, ancient sailing ships retrofitted with new weapons, obsolete tanks upgraded with modern electronics, Cold War satellites repurposed for global communications. "The Meridians chose us for a reason," Yuki continued. "Look at human history. When we can't match our opponent's strength, we change the rules of engagement. The Empire has perfectly optimized their technology. But that's their weakness. They've lost the ability to imagine new applications for their tools." Sarah nodded, picking up the thread. "The Meridian data shows the Empire has faced countless rebellions, but they've all failed because they tried to beat the Dark Swarm at their own game. No one has ever attempted to fundamentally reimagine how their technology could be used." The Brazilian representative leaned forward. "You're suggesting we take alien technology we barely understand and improvise?" "That's exactly what I'm suggesting," Sarah replied. "The Meridians have already identified several abandoned Empire outposts in nearby systems. They're considered worthless because their technology is outdated by Empire standards. But to us, even their outdated tech is centuries ahead of our capabilities." Admiral Hayes activated a new hologram, showing preliminary engineering concepts. "We've already had our best minds analyzing the Meridian data. Dr. Tanaka's team has identified multiple ways we could modify Empire technology using human innovation. Their rigid thinking means they've never even considered these applications." The chamber erupted in debate. Hours passed as arguments flew back and forth, scenarios were analyzed, and possibilities weighed. Finally, the Secretary General called for order. "Before we vote," she announced, "I want everyone to understand what's at stake. If we help the Meridians, we'll be declaring war on the most powerful empire this galaxy has ever seen. If we refuse, we face them alone in months. Either way, humanity's age of isolation ends today." The vote was closer than anyone expected, but in the end, the decision was made. Earth would fight. Within days, Operation Phoenix was launched. The Meridian Sphere transmitted the coordinates of 3 abandoned Empire outposts within reach of Earth's experimental long-range ships. Dr. Chen found herself aboard the ESS Horizon once again, this time accompanied by Dr. Tanaka and a hand-picked team of Earth's most innovative engineers and scientists. As they approached the first outpost, a massive space station dormant for centuries, Sarah stood on the bridge with Captain Rodriguez, watching the structure grow larger in their viewport. "Do you think we're crazy?" Rodriguez asked quietly, "trying to fight an empire with their own discarded technology?" Sarah smiled, remembering something her grandfather used to say about his time as a mechanic in Brazil. "You know, in the favelas, they used to take broken electronics from wealthy neighborhoods and turn them into community wireless networks. They called it gambiarra, the art of transforming what's abandoned into something new. Maybe that's humanity's real superpower." The station loomed before them, its dark halls waiting to be awakened by human hands. As the boarding teams prepared, Dr. Tanaka reviewed the preliminary scans, her eyes wide with excitement. "The Empire thinks this technology is obsolete," she said, pointing to various systems. "But look at these quantum processors. Even in their dormant state, they're centuries beyond our best computers. And these power cores, the Empire only uses them for basic operations, but if we reconfigure them, how long to get the station operational? Hayes asked over the quantum link. The Empire's systems are actually less complex than we expected, Tanaka replied. They value efficiency over flexibility, which means their technology is modular and standardized. Give us 3 weeks, and we'll have this station not just running, but doing things the Empire never imagined possible. As the first teams boarded the station, Sarah felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. They were about to attempt something unprecedented, not just learning to use alien technology, but fundamentally reinventing it. Looking at the determined faces around her, she remembered the Meridian ambassador's words about humanity's unique ability to defy impossible odds. The next few months would test that ability like never before. But as she watched human engineers already starting to dissect and reimagine Empire technology, Sarah realized something important. The Empire's greatest weakness wasn't their rigid thinking or their standardized technology. It was their inability to understand that true power didn't come from having the most advanced tools, but from having the imagination to use those tools in ways their creators never dreamed possible. The real work was about to begin, and humanity was about to show the galaxy why you should never underestimate a species that turned the debris of their own wars into tools for peace, and the wreckage of their failures into stepping stones toward the stars. Project Phoenix. 3 months into Operation Phoenix, the abandoned Empire station had become unrecognizable. What was once a dark, lifeless hull now hummed with activity, its corridors filled with a bizarre fusion of human and alien technology. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stood in what they dubbed the Innovation Hub, surrounded by holographic displays showing the progress of their various projects. The Empire's biggest mistake, she explained to the visiting Meridian observers, was thinking these stations were obsolete just because they couldn't match their latest technology. They never considered that limitation breeds creativity. The central display showed their greatest achievement yet, the successful fusion of Empire quantum cores with human-designed neural networks. Where the Empire used these cores solely for navigation and weapons control, Earth's engineers had created something entirely new. Adaptive systems that could learn and evolve. They're beautiful, Ambassador Zorax whispered, multiple eyes widening as the hybrid systems performed their diagnostics. We never imagined their technology could be used this way. Sarah Chen entered the hub, her tablet displaying the latest test results. The Empire designs everything to be perfect at its intended purpose, she said, pulling up comparison diagrams. But we humans have centuries of experience making imperfect things work together. Watch this. She initiated a demonstration sequence. The station's power grid, originally designed to channel energy in rigid, predetermined patterns, now flowed like a living thing. Energy shifted and adapted, rerouting automatically to strengthen shields one moment, then boosting sensor arrays the next. We call it the synaptic grid, Sarah explained. Instead of treating the station's systems as separate components, we've taught them to work together like neurons in a brain. The Empire would consider this chaotic and inefficient, but it makes the station far harder to disable. Zorax finished, understanding dawning in their eyes. If one system is damaged, the others adapt to compensate. Admiral Hayes, present via hologram, nodded approvingly. Show them the weapons modifications. Yuki led them to another section of the hub. Here, Empire weapon systems had been completely reimagined. The Empire uses quantum torpedoes as simple projectiles, she explained, activating a simulation. But we discovered their quantum cores can be reprogrammed. Watch. The simulation showed a single torpedo launching. Instead of detonating, it split into dozens of smaller units, each one carrying a fraction of the original quantum core. These fragments didn't just explode. They created localized distortions in space-time, turning the Empire's own shields against them. We call them Legion torpedoes, Yuki said proudly. The Empire's shields are designed to resist direct energy impacts. They've never encountered weapons that use their own defense systems as a weakness. But Project Phoenix's most ambitious achievement lay in the station's massive construction base. Here, humans were building something that made even the Meridians question their sanity. A fleet unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Empire expects uniformity, Sarah explained as they observed the construction. Their fleets are perfectly coordinated, every ship identical and optimized. So we're building the exact opposite. The ships under construction defied conventional design. Some were massive, rebuilt from Empire hulls, but now housing swarms of smaller craft in their cores. Others were tiny, barely large enough for a crew, but incorporating stealth systems that made them nearly impossible to detect. Each vessel was unique, combining Empire technology with human ingenuity in ways that made traditional tactical analysis useless. No two ships will fight the same way, Admiral Hayes explained. The Empire's combat computers rely on recognizing and countering known patterns. But our fleet, he smiled grimly. Our fleet will have no patterns to analyze. The Meridian ambassador studied the construction with all 4 sets of eyes. Your species continues to amaze us, but the Empire's numerical advantage is still overwhelming. Even with these innovations, numbers don't always win wars, Hayes interrupted. History is full of smaller forces defeating larger ones by fighting smarter, not harder. The Empire thinks they've mastered space warfare, but they've actually trapped themselves in a box of their own making. They've optimized their tactics so completely that they've lost the ability to adapt to the unexpected. As if to emphasize his point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Contact, a voice announced over the comm. Empire scout ship detected at the edge of the system. Instead of panic, the humans moved with practiced precision. Sarah and Yuki rushed to their stations as the innovative defense systems they'd created came online. The station's new synaptic grid pulsed with activity, redistributing power in ways the Empire's sensors would never expect. "Let's see if our modifications work as planned," Sarah said, fingers flying over her console. The station's hybrid systems responded instantly, implementing strategies no Empire commander would ever anticipate. The scout ship, expecting to find an abandoned outpost, instead encountered something its centuries of tactical databases couldn't comprehend. Before it could transmit a warning, it found itself caught in a web of quantum distortions, its sensors feeding it impossible readings as the station's Legion torpedoes recreated its shield harmonics in ways that turned its own defenses into a prison. Within minutes, the scout was disabled, its crew contained, and its quantum core repurposed to further strengthen the station's growing capabilities. More importantly, no distress signal had escaped to warn the Empire of what they'd encounter. As the adrenaline of the encounter faded, Ambassador Xerax turned to the human leaders with new respect in their multiple eyes. "Perhaps," they said slowly, "we underestimated just how much your species could change the rules of this war." Sarah looked at the disabled scout ship, already being drawn into their construction base for study and adaptation. The Empire thinks technology only works one way, their way. But humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to take existing tools and reimagine their potential. They're about to learn that the most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the most advanced weapons. It's the one who uses those weapons in ways you never imagined possible. Yuki finished, already cataloging new ideas from the captured ship's systems. The Empire had just unknowingly delivered them another gift. More technology to adapt, more assumptions to challenge, and more proof that humanity's creative spirit could level even the most uneven playing field. The real test would come soon, but for now, Project Phoenix had proven its first principle. In the hands of human ingenuity, even outdated technology could become something revolutionary. The Empire's perfect order was about to meet humanity's creative chaos, and the galaxy would never be the same. The impossible fleet. The Empire's 47th Suppression Fleet dropped out of hyperspace expecting the simple salvage operation. Intelligence had reported unusual activity at an abandoned outpost, likely scavengers or refugees to be dealt with according to standard protocols. Instead, Fleet Commander Sci-Fi found himself staring at something that defied Imperial tactical doctrine. "Impossible," he muttered, his cybernetic implants struggling to categorize the vessels before him. The ships violated every principle of Imperial ship design. Some were cobbled together from multiple hull types. Others seemed to phase in and out of normal space, and none matched any known configuration in the Empire's vast combat databases. "My lord," his second-in-command reported, "we're detecting human energy signatures mixed with our own technology, but the modifications are extensive. Our targeting systems can't establish reliable locks." Before Exarthol could respond, his fleet's neat formation was shattered by an attack that broke every rule of space combat. The human ships didn't maintain formation or follow conventional attack patterns. Each vessel fought differently, turning the organized battle space into chaos. Aboard the ESS Prometheus, the flagship of Earth's hybrid fleet, Admiral Hayes watched the Empire's confusion with grim satisfaction. "Execute Operation Hydra," he ordered. "Let's show them why you should never underestimate human adaptability." The Prometheus itself was a testament to human innovation. Built around the core of an abandoned Empire dreadnought, it had been transformed into something entirely new. Where Imperial ships relied on brute force and overwhelming firepower, the Prometheus was designed to be unpredictable. Legion torpedoes launched. Sarah Chen reported from her station, synaptic grid adapting to enemy response patterns. The hybrid weapons they developed performed exactly as designed, splitting into swarms that turned the Empire's own shield harmonics against them. But the real surprise came from the smaller ships. What looked like debris suddenly revealed themselves as strike craft, using modified Empire cloaking technology in ways its creators had never imagined. They slipped through gaps in Imperial shields, targeting not the obvious weak points, but the standardized command and control systems the Empire relied upon. "They're trying to adapt," Yuki Tanaka observed, monitoring the enemy's responses. "But their tactical computers can't handle undefined variables. Every time they develop a counter to one of our ships, we show them something new." The Empire's fleet, for the first time in centuries, found itself fighting blind. Their perfect formations became a liability as human ships used their own predictability against them. Advanced targeting systems, designed to track conventional threats, were rendered useless by vessels that refused to behave according to any recognized pattern. "My lord," the Imperial second-in-command's voice shook, "we're losing cohesion. Their attacks, they make no sense. Each ship fights differently, adapting faster than our combat computers can analyze." Exarthol watched in horror as his neat battle lines crumbled. A massive human vessel would draw fire, only to seemingly dissolve into dozens of smaller craft that slipped through their defenses. Imperial ships, trying to maintain formation, found themselves isolated and surrounded by enemies that seemed to ignore the basic laws of space combat. "Fall back," he finally ordered, his pride shattered along with his fleet's coordination. "Full retreat. Warn the Empire. Warn them that these humans, they're not fighting according to any known doctrine." But the humans weren't finished. As the Imperial ships tried to retreat, they found their hyperspace calculations disrupted by quantum distortions their sensors couldn't properly read. The human fleet had seeded the battlefield with modified Empire technology that turned retreat into a deadly gamble. "Should we pursue?" Sarah asked, but Hayes shook his head. "Let them run," he said. "Let them tell the Empire what they faced here. Let them try to explain how a primitive species turned their own abandoned technology against them." The surviving Imperial ships limped away, their neat formations broken, their confidence shattered. They carried with them not just a military defeat, but something far more dangerous, the realization that everything they thought they knew about warfare might be wrong. In the aftermath, Ambassador Zerak stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching the cleanup operations with amazement. "You didn't just defeat them," they said. "You made them question their fundamental assumptions about combat." That's the real victory, Hayes agreed. The Empire bases everything on perfect order, on knowing exactly how their technology should be used. We just showed them that their greatest strength, their standardization and precision, can become their greatest weakness when faced with human creativity. The captured Imperial ships were already being towed back to their hidden shipyards, where human engineers waited eagerly to discover new ways to adapt and reimagine their technology. Each defeat would make Earth's fleet stronger, more diverse, more unpredictable. The Empire will return, Sarah warned, studying the battle data. And they'll try to adapt to what they saw today. Let them try, Yuki replied with a confident smile. By the time they figure out how to counter these tactics, we'll have invented new ones. That's humanity's real advantage. We never stop innovating, never stop imagining new possibilities. As the fleet regrouped, preparing for the inevitable Imperial counterattack, Hayes addressed his crews. Today, we proved something important. The Empire thinks they've perfected warfare, that their technology can only be used in specific, optimized ways. But humanity has always thrived on doing the impossible, on finding new paths where others see only dead ends. The battle had been won, but more importantly, a message had been sent across the galaxy. Humanity had announced its presence not with brute force or superior technology, but with innovation and adaptability that defied conventional wisdom. The Empire's perfect order was about to meet its match in human chaos, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Impossible Fleet, as it would come to be known, had just written its first chapter in a new kind of space warfare, one where imagination proved more powerful than optimization, and where the ability to adapt meant more than having the most advanced technology. The Empire would return, but they would find humanity ready, not with superior numbers or technology, but with the one thing they couldn't counter: the endless human capacity to turn limitations into advantages and to find victory in the face of impossible odds. Legacy of Earth. The Dark Swarm Empire had never faced defeat like this. Their response to the human victory was overwhelming. A massive armada, led by the Empire's most advanced dreadnought, the Eternal Night. Grand Admiral Vorkath stood on its bridge, surrounded by the Empire's finest commanders and their most sophisticated war machines. These humans think they can defy Imperial order. He sneered, watching tactical displays show their fleet's approach. We will show them the price of such arrogance. No amount of clever modifications can stand against the Empire's full might. But as they approached Earth's defensive line, something was wrong. Their scans showed nothing. No ships, no stations, not even the energy signatures they detected before. The human fleet had vanished. Impossible, Vorkath muttered. No one can hide an entire. His words died as space itself seemed to ripple around his fleet. The humans hadn't fled. They'd turned the void itself into their ally. Using modified Empire phase technology, they'd literally hidden their ships in the folds between normal space and hyperspace, a concept so radical it had never occurred to Imperial scientists. Now, Admiral Hayes's voice echoed across all frequencies, a signal the Empire couldn't block. Show them humanity's answer to tyranny. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Earth's fleet emerged from their quantum hiding spots, not in traditional attack formations, but in patterns that seemed random to Imperial tacticians. Each human ship fought differently, using hybrid technologies in ways that made their actions impossible to predict. The Prometheus, now joined by dozens of similarly converted vessels, led the charge. But these weren't the same ships that had fought in the previous battle. Human engineers had been busy, learning from every encounter, adapting their designs in ways that defied Imperial doctrine. They're not just using our technology, one of Vorkath's analysts reported in growing panic. They're combining it with principles we never considered. Their ships, they're learning from us even as we fight them. Sarah Chen, coordinating the human fleet's synaptic grid network, watched as their innovations proved their worth. The Empire's perfect formations became traps of their own making. Their standardized tactics, honed over centuries, made them predictable. Every counter they attempted was met with 3 new strategies they'd never seen before. The Empire thinks technology only works one way. Yuki Tanaka's voice came over the comm as her latest creation, ships that could temporarily merge into larger vessels before splitting apart again, wreaked havoc among enemy lines. We're teaching them the power of human imagination. The battle raged across the system, but it wasn't just a clash of ships and weapons. It was a confrontation between 2 philosophies, the Empire's belief in perfect order versus humanity's embrace of adaptive chaos. Aboard the Eternal Night, Vorkath watched in horror as his fleet's advantages crumbled. Human vessels phased through Imperial shields using frequencies his engineers had deemed impossible. Their weapons ignored standard defense protocols, creating cascading failures in systems designed to be impregnable. "My lord," his second called out, "they're not just defeating us. They're collecting our wreckage even as we fight. They're adapting our technology in real time." It was true. Earth's salvage ships, protected by their phase-shifted escorts, were already gathering defeated Imperial vessels. Each piece of technology would be studied, reimagined, and turned into something new, something the Empire would have to face in future battles. The turning point came when the humans unveiled their masterstroke. The Prometheus, appearing suddenly alongside the Eternal Night, launched what looked like a standard Imperial boarding torpedo. But when it struck, it didn't deploy troops. Instead, it released a modified version of the Empire's own nanite technology. "You weaponized maintenance nanites." Vorkath's voice was incredulous as his ship's systems began to transform around him. That's not their purpose. Purpose is what we make of it," Hayes replied calmly. "Your Empire's greatest weakness is thinking there's only one right way to use technology. Humanity's greatest strength is knowing that every tool can be reimagined." The nanites spread through the Imperial flagship, not destroying it but transforming it. Systems designed for perfect order were rewritten to embrace chaos. The Empire's finest warship became a hybrid of human innovation and Imperial power, its crew watching helplessly as their perfect machine evolved into something new. As the Battle of Earth reached its climax, the message became clear to every Imperial commander. They weren't just fighting a military force. They were facing a species that could turn their own technological superiority against them. "Enough," Vorkath finally called out, watching his mighty armada reduced to confusion and disorder. We offer terms." The peace negotiations that followed would reshape the galaxy. The Empire, for the first time in its history, was forced to recognize that technological superiority alone didn't guarantee victory. Humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't just defeating the Empire. It was showing that innovation and adaptation were more powerful than pure technological might. Years later, Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the New Earth Academy, where species from across the galaxy came to learn humanity's approach to technology and innovation. Below her, students from former Imperial worlds worked alongside humans and Meridians, all studying how to see beyond the obvious uses of technology. "We never wanted to rule the galaxy," she explained to a group of visiting dignitaries. "We just wanted to show that there's always another way, always a new possibility to explore. Humanity's legacy isn't the defeat of the Empire. It's teaching the galaxy to imagine new possibilities." The Empire still existed, but transformed. Their rigid hierarchy had been replaced by a system that valued innovation alongside efficiency. The humans had taught them something invaluable. True power lies not in having the most advanced technology, but in having the imagination to use technology in ways no one else has dreamed of. And in the deep space yards around Earth, human engineers continued their work, taking apart Imperial technology and putting it back together in new ways. Not because they had to anymore, but because that's what humans do. They imagine, they adapt, they create. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never underestimate a species that can turn yesterday's abandoned technology into tomorrow's revolution. Humanity's greatest contribution wasn't winning a war. It was teaching the galaxy how to imagine new possibilities in everything they thought they understood.